We started early today. He got a claw.
Oh, shit.
He's live, y'all. I know that.
Welcome to the Cocktail Social. This is Be Exposed Radio. My name is Jonathan Gilmore. I'm going to be standing in place of Miss Pussycat, whatever the hell Blue calls herself now. You know, Blue's the Fiend Shaker has a new name every week, and he will be on at any moment. So, but I'm going to hold strong until he gets there. So, what's up to the socialites? How y'all feeling?
What's up, yo?
Really?
Well, you pussy. I'm gonna be Jonathan Gilmore today. What's up?
that was not a believable performance. We had
you got to give me time.
Live from Losing Isaiah.
Hi.
She finally found him.
She always loses some shit.
So what's going on with y'all? You know, Blues Pin usually starts by checking in. How y'all feeling?
Good.
Wonderful. Halloween is one of my favorite times of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just excited about it.
I've never celebrated it before.
For real?
Mm-mm.
How come? Oh, you believe that, you know, ghosts and goblins and shit? You are. Why?
I mean, my mother just didn't let us. Like, I've never gone trick-or-treating before. I don't think I missed anything. Mm-mm.
Oh, you missed a lot, baby. Free candy. Costumes and going out with your friends and the Halloween parties. You know, but everyone's raised differently. So I applaud your mom for the way she raised you. There's nothing wrong with that. But you know, I just think it's a shame when kids are deprived of things that kids should enjoy growing up. You know what I'm saying? They
applaud your mother, but you were deprived. I just want you to catch that.
I mean, I don't think I was.
You was deprived. You said, I'm so sad for you that you were deprived of the.
But we were I never got to go trick or treating, but we were the house that everybody came on after they went trick or treating. So my mother would like cook and, you know, make the basement look spooky and stuff like that. But I never had the trick or treating.
Oh, y'all would like hunt around the house for candy and stuff.
Like we just didn't, like, I just never did that. So everybody would bring their bags and like my mother had candy and food and stuff like that. But I never went trick or treating.
Oh, okay.
Well, Cable, since you love Halloween, I'm gonna start this first question off real cool and real simple and easy. What was your favorite Halloween costume and what's your favorite candy?
My favorite Halloween candy is the one that everyone seems to hate, candy corn.
I fucking love candy corn. It's so good. It's so good. Me too.
It's wax.
It's made with honey, actually.
Candy corn.
Thank you. Tell the truth.
It's so good.
Now, I ain't gonna lie. When I first tasted candy corns, when I used to first get them, because they had the little pumpkin ones and they had the little regular ones, like I thought they were wax. Like as a kid, I thought it was just like, you know, some shit you play with. Like I ain't know it was.
I like the regular little triangle.
What the fuck is this?
I like the regular little corn kernel one. I don't need all the special designs and shit. Just give me the regular one.
Bro, all them shits is good. Matter of fact, I found some somebody gave them to me. They was what's the red cake? Red velvet. They had some red velvet candy corns.
Oh,
good.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of red velvet, but
so the inside was red velvet.
It was like they looked like candy corns, but they was like a pinkish red color.
Oh, okay.
All right, Cable. What was your favorite costume?
My favorite costume was I was a prostitute. For a wedding that was done Halloween style. We had to dress up for a wedding, and I went and I was a prostitute. I had on like fishnet stockings. I had this ugly dress and this shared looking wig. Well, the girl from Adams, I don't know what it was, but I had fun and people was beeping their horns at me. I was sticking my leg out it was crazy, but that was my
That was a good one, though. All right, Christy, what was your favorite Halloween costume and your favorite Halloween candy?
My favorite Halloween costume I wore as of recently, which was Harley Quinn. That was like my most favorite costume because I could like really get into character and just like be really wild, like how Harley Quinn is. So that was like I had so much fun with that one. But usually I'm always somebody scary, you know, my face falling half off or, you know, some crazy shit like that. I like scaring people. But favorite candy, I ain't really a candy person, but yeah, I go with candy corns as far as Halloween candy.
I ain't got no love for a Reese's peanut butter cup. That shit.
Oh, I love a Reese's cup.
Right.
That
Reese's cup.
Literally turn you on. Like
Kit Kats. Oh my gosh.
I don't like no goddamn Kit Kats.
I love Kit Kats. Kit Kats and blow pops, like the candy apple blow pop or the sour apple.
What kind of blow pops you like?
I'm a Reese cup guy myself.
Look at you, being nasty, asking what type of blow pop.
Wait a minute, I just noticed that you had that fucking wig.
Bang,
I was
bang.
like, what the fuck is going on with it? I'm like looking like, what the hell is going on over there? I started to dress up today too. And I was like, I ain't want to look crazy. I'll be the only one on this bitch with a costume. They was like, what the fuck going on with her age?
Then you got Marla Gibbs sitting over here, so you would have been right on track. Miss K.
Marla Gibbs.
Love Cable. Miss K, what was your favorite costume? And what was your favorite
They tried.
Raggedy Ann. That was Raggedy Ann.
It was Raggedy Ann.
Who was she?
She was Raggedy Ann.
I was
Raggedy Ann.
I was never anything scary. Like the only picture that I have of me as a kid in a costume is back when they had the plastic masks. I was Barbie.
Them fucks used to itch like
I had all them plastic mask costumes.
They was itchy and they was hot as shit. And don't let the plastic crack, because then you had little scratches and shit all over you from the fucking mask.
And that plastic all over your body, you tied in the back.
You couldn't see.
Wetting and hot, yeah.
It's more involved than you thought. Yeah, I thought it was gonna be something.
What is going on over there?
That
sounds like a Pornhub video.
I know. It sound like the dialect that they be talking about right before they grade doors and shit.
Here's your pizza.
Right.
Oh, you ordered extra sausage? Well, I'm sorry, I forgot.
Oh, they got the plant in the background and everything.
Hey, I'm trying to say they had a plant.
They got the plant in the background.
It turned into a horror movie.
All right, Nate. Well, while he getting his sausage,
I never dressed up.
That's right. You didn't do anything.
But I always love Reese cups. I'll eat Reese cups every day, but that was my favorite candy to get. I will always trade all my candy for the Reese cups. And when they started doing like the flavored Skittles, jelly beans, like whenever I would get those were like.
You know what I absolutely fucking hate as a candy?
What?
Tootsie Rolls.
Yes.
I like the flavored ones.
Fucking earwax.
The flavored ones.
This shit look like a roll of fucking earwax. I don't eat the chocolate ones. I don't eat the chocolate ones, but I eat the flavored ones.
I like the Tootsie Pops, though. I do like
now the Tootsie Pops. I can eat the outside, but when it start getting down to where the Tootsie Roll at, I gotta throw that shit away. That shit make me gag.
1, 2,
3. 3. I hate them fuckers. They nasty as shit.
Yeah, I only like the flavor Tootsie Rolls. I don't like the chocolate ones.
Even those got an aftertaste to them. They good when you first start eating them, and then at the end it just start tasting like
wax.
Fucking earwax.
Y'all talk about Tootsie?
Yeah, Tootsie Rolls.
I don't eat those. They nasty.
I remember the damn song though. Remember the commercial when they still like, whatever it is you think you see becomes a Tootsie Roll to me.
It was very pedophilic.
I didn't like that commercial at all. Calvin got a job though.
Who?
All right, y'all. So let's move into this. Who?
Calvin got a job.
Go ahead, Pearl.
He did get a job finally.
Pearl sitting in the window.
And he got fired from working with Lester ass.
He even went and put pearls on. He gonna come back in a little in a moo in a minute.
And have a tight ass mushroom, like his bangs will be even tighter.
Nate made this. He put it together.
That shit look like a damn curtain tie. The golden curtain.
What's the next question?
The next, somebody said the next question is. So we're gonna start with Cable's question. We're gonna get deep here.
Oh, we get deep now? Oh shit.
How would you imagine Black civilization today if slavery never happened?
Oh, this
so, if slavery never happened at all, what do you think? He done came up out his clothes.
You had to see how he snatched the wig off though. He snatched it from the back. He snatched it off from the back.
But if slavery had never happened, how would you imagine essentially what would we be like in Africa today?
Well, that's a loaded question for me because it's like one, we ain't all come over this bitch on those ships from Africa, but
but that's not the question. Was what do you think Black people would be? What do you think Black civilization would be today if slavery never happened?
I think we'd be better, better prepared, if nothing else. I mean, you figured like look at some of the things that they have destroyed that we did make after slavery. So you figure if slavery never happened, we wouldn't have some of the emotional scars that we have, and the traumas and stuff that that's been passed down through generations, and just the fear in general. So I mean, I think we could just be more in touch with ourselves enough to be super successful. Because even like I said, even with slavery, like we've still done some things that are like considered amazing.
I think Africa would be the official powerhouse if it never happened. Like Africa would be the United States or China if it didn't happen. Because all those advancement would be out of Africa and not out of the United States.
Right. Yeah.
I think it's hard for me to kind of answer this one just because a lot of the things that we invented came from necessity, and it wouldn't have been necessarily a necessity had we not have come here in the situation.
Yeah, like a cotton picker.
And there are a lot of things that we have done as Black Americans. I'm very much pro-Black Americans. I think that we do not love on ourselves enough. I think that we are there's an inferiority complex within the Black community of Black Americans amongst Caribbeans and Africans where we kind of feel like we're somewhere beneath them for some reason.
We're not as authentic.
We're not right. We're not authentic, or we're not whatever that bullshit is. Black is how I feel, and I'm very proud of what we've done. But I think that we can only look at this through a very dreamlike lens, though, because at the same breath, Europe was conquering Africa from the north, and they were making their way over, and then they came over around. If Europe had never touched Africa at all, if we're talking like never even came that far to one of the biggest land masses on earth, I don't know what we would be, because what we have become is basically the sum of our experiences.
That's why I was very proud of the new Smithsonian Museum, because that was the first time where something was dedicated to African Americans and not, across the world Black individuals. It really just, it summed up like our existence, and it should have given many of us that have actually gone to see it kind of a pride in who we are. Like, we have accomplished all of this stuff, even if it was out of necessity, even if it was due to slavery, we still accomplished all of this. Like I love
art, science, literature, whatever. We kind of have.
Yep.
We have set the trend for the entire world, Black Americans.
Yeah. That means if you have not gone to that museum, take at least one trip there, and you'll get a awesome kind of cross section of who we've been to this country and for the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think it was a great question. Though, was there anything that made you kind of come up with the question, or anything?
Oh, me and a friend of mine was hanging today, and topic was brought up, and I was like, "Ooh, that would be an interesting question," and that's where it came from. Just to try to get the pick to see what we thought, what other Black people thought where we would be. I don't know. I just wanted to hear everybody's opinions, and actually, everybody kind of dug into my thoughts of it. I even thought maybe Blacks would have been like it is a part of Africa where Blacks are actually slave owners of white people. They got white slaves. So,
that has happened before.
Mm-hmm.
Where we, because you gotta remember, we still had empires and stuff that was our empire. Like a lot of people don't know that the United States was the Moorish Empire. You know what I mean? And so if you don't really dig deep into the history of what's really going on, the whole Americas was melanated Black people.
Right.
That that was running it from this side and the other side. You know what I mean? Like we were a powerhouse at one point in time, but then you got to look at the corruption that fell. We fell from within. You know what I mean? Just treating each other.
It was Black slave owners back then. So
you had Black slave owners that owned Black slaves. You had Black slave owners that owned white slaves. Actually, the term slave came from Slavic.
We didn't have weapons of mass destruction. White people had that, and they came over here and stole our concept with their weapons, and then slavery happened. Which is why they also had Black people that were slave owners still at that time, because they were selling slaves to the white people as well. So,
slaves was just pretty much a status thing. Like if you had servants, you was at a certain status, to have servants. You had a certain amount of money to be able to take care of those servants. You know what I mean? So it was more of a status thing than anything. Like now, once the Atlantic slave trade happened, now it was a whole different type of slavery. Like when we were slave owners and stuff, we still continued to let them practice whatever they was practicing. With us, it was pretty much like,
Not only that, we were still people were still considered human.
Exactly.
The Atlantic slave trade completely dehumanized a whole group of people. And I don't know. I think for me, slavery is such one of those things where you really got to, you have to take into effect that literally we were turned into capital. It bothers me to no deal when you hear white people say, "Oh, well, where are the slave ships now?" All of those old ships that you see docked, those were slave ships.
Yeah.
There was no ship that said this.
Well, because they were cargo ships. It wasn't like, they were, we was considered cargo.
See, the thing is that that's what's not understood. I don't think that a lot of people, our generation of anyone who is around now still gets the fact that we were not human. And I think it's hard for us.
We weren't considered human.
Right. It was legally not human. It was, but
it's still that way now.
Yeah.
We could talk about how now it still has those shadows of it and everything. But literally, where you are not considered human.
Right. That it hurts. It hurts when they, like, white people now, even the ones that are considered allies, they don't see the severity in us in that title of us being 3/5 of a human being, or being considered property on a itemized list. When you go back, we can't search the birth certificates. We search like the property records, and that's where our family members and ancestors are.
Then you gotta realize birth certificates didn't come into play until later on.
I'm just saying this. You can still trace white people's family lineage. Ours is in what did they own? What the how many sheets did they have? How many plates did they own? How many pillows? That's where our family history is.
They had 4 acres of tobacco, 5 niggas, and 20 oxen.
Right. Like we had a money value on us in a trading. We were almost like the cowrie shells in terms of what's traded and such. But
relatively, in the sense of the world, in the sense of this country, we are dealing with things, the aftermath of things that did not end that long ago.
Yeah.
I mean,
and shit hasn't ended.
So, well, I mean, I'm talking about the actual system of what we know, what we have learned as slavery. I mean, of course, we definitely have some things that have completely carried on,
right?
But the legal practice of, and not the hidden, this is the outward practice of owning slaves. Is we are not that far removed from it.
That's
I think about it. 1965, when my mother was born, that was 100 years from the actual emancipation. So
one of the harshest realities for me was realizing, like, I grew up with my great grandmother, and she was born 5 years before Harriet Tubman died. Like when I remember the day in class when I was doing a report, and my teacher pointed that out. Like that's when slavery became real to me. In elementary school, like we don't realize how close we are in proximity. Like I touched this woman who grandparents were slaves, who parents were coming out of slavery. Like I had up until that point, I didn't realize how close I was to our history. Like I slept in the bed with our history growing up.
Yeah, I think for me it was when I went to Tall Barrel, North Carolina, where my grandfather grew up. He grew up on a sharecropping farm picking tobacco. He started when he was 8 years old, and he dropped out of school that next year to literally take care of his family completely. And he took care of his family pretty much wholly from 8 years old until the time he died at 67. And he died of lung cancer and prolonged tobacco exposure is what they called it. His hands were yellowed from the tobacco. And if you could see where he grew up, this little shack that was lined in newspaper, I was sitting there like, this shit looked like slave. It was a shock to me.
Down any minute.
And it did. When Tall Barrel flooded from the Tar River, it did get washed away. Now I'm sitting there like, now, how long was this damn thing up before?
Right.
But the fact that he lived through that, and that was in the 30s, into the 40s. Into the 50s when he finally moved to Baltimore. But he picked all day and made shit. He made nothing.
Yeah.
And he was functionally illiterate. He is one of my biggest heroes because I did not know until he passed that he could not read. And all that he had done, all the money and the shit that he had worked with, it was just an absolutely amazing thing to me. And my aunts on my mother's side who were my mother's side is very educated, very, they came from that same type of system, but they definitely moved on. But they, they would talk about him like shit. And I remember asking my grandmother, like, how did you put up with it? Because she was like, fuck him. But this cat was shit though. Like, I don't know if I could do the same. I know it's in me to do, and I try to tap into that, but the fact that he was able to manage all of those traps is just amazing to me.
Yeah, it's amazing just what we've come from and what we've, been able to accomplish. Because even I sometimes trace the spiritual side of our history and realizing, it was only a few people in communities that could read, and being able to read at that moment meant a lot to the people who did have that ability. Like they were reading on a collegiate level because that's what the Bible was written on. Somewhat of on a collegiate level, but just our ability to be able to read and how we dismiss education now versus then when it was like illegal for us to even learn how to read, but we had to figure out how to still communicate with these people. Just the mind games that were played with our ancestors up until this day. We're allowed to learn something, but you better not get any further than I am. Like, still we're still going through those things, and it's just amazing how many of us are still pissing on our history, like just still not even realizing what we have and what we still have to give and our responsibility to kind of upholding it. But maybe one day everybody will get it.
Everyone said everything that they wanted to say on this issue, or we can move on. All right, we're gonna keep it up with another one of Cable's questions that I guess ties into this is: do you think all Caucasians have some kind of racism in them?
All.
Yes.
They are inherently racist.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much.
Every last one.
Because the system that we are both brought up in, like it indoctrinates you into, you know, the way of thinking that they would like you to have. And so for them, it's always been, you know, we were superior, we were the rulers, we were the heroes. You got to even down to the shit you see on TV. You know what I'm saying? I mean, hell, look how long it took for us to get a respectable black family on TV. You know what I mean? Like, you really didn't have black shows and stuff. So most of the stuff that was on TV was, you know, white heroes, white families, you know, and so they've been fed that, you know, they've been fed it, you know, just like we've been, you know, fed the same shit, but the way we receive it is like, damn, white people got everything. You know, dang, they got this big house, or like, you know, the only representation we had was like good times and, you know, shit like that. I mean, then later on, it became more, you know,
George and Weezy,
we were successful. Huh?
Don't sleep on George and Weezy.
George and Weezy did their damn thing. George and Weezy, I think they was the first success story. Yeah, they was the first success story. But shit, you figure, you know, after that, I don't know, let me see. What, the Cosby Show was after that, as far as like, you know, a black family that was thriving with, you know, the kids and, you know, all of that. You know, so you really didn't see a lot of images that, you know, lifted, you know, our people up. You know what I'm saying? Whereas they see it all the time.
I used to just wonder why.
Hold on, before we move on, I want to shout out Nisha and Brianna. They definitely said hello to everybody.
Hey y'all.
We definitely have people joining in, so please comment and we'll keep it moving.
I just used to wonder why, like, my great aunts and grandmother and all of them were so angry. Like, to this day, that's how they refer to white people, as crackers. Like, they still have that intense feeling and emotion. And it wasn't until I became an adult, or really until I got to high school and I was predominantly around all white people, that I understood just that level of anger and resentment that they have, because we still don't, and even the ones who are our allies, I believe they have it in them. Like, it's in them. And they don't even recognize it, and they get offended when we tell them that they have it, or we equate and make a general statement about racism. They get very angry because they know it's in them. That's why they try so hard to kind of, you know, give us and help us and support us, because they know deep down inside it's still an element of that racism.
That's why the name Karen eats at them. That's why it really is like a dagger at them when they hear it. They really, those white women really get upset.
Really.
And I'd be like, oh, baby, that's nowhere close. That's somewhere. That's a pinch off what black people feel. But I'm glad you feel something, because you should feel. Because that's the whole point. To showcase your hint of racism that you don't want to expose or don't want to accept or acknowledge, girl. So right. I believe all of them do. I don't believe all of them have that negative heart. Like you said, some of them don't even know that they have it. I mean, what? It's a line that someone always told me, you know, something of best, you know, better left. What's the
left unsaid?
Yeah, you know, like some things, you know, I don't want to know about myself that may be true. That's good for me, you know.
I think the truth hurts.
Bliss. That's ignorance is bliss, and so they're not bad people, but I believe it's there.
But do you think it's racism and not just ignorance? Because there are things about the Black culture that you would not know unless you were raised in in either Black community or Black household, like point period. And them maybe out of ignorance is not necessarily racism, it's just plain flat out ignorance. They not know any better. Like, you don't know what you don't know.
That's the part I've always struggled with that.
I think it's kind of a double thing where you don't want to make racism an acceptable word, but I think that racist indoctrination is real. That white privilege is real.
Right.
And there's a certain privilege where they don't have to understand Black culture, but we must learn white culture to survive.
Right.
And that everyone has we have all, white people, Black people, everyone in this country and anyone under, a Euro rule has had to live under a white supremacist system.
See, this is why I said that, I'm not to cut you off, but this is why I said that people need to start observing the positive things that has happened during Corona, that Corona has brought to people's lives. Because I had a doctor who was working on me, and she told me she didn't realize the stuff that Black people was going through until she had a moment to be able to sit home and watch TV and see what's going on. It's a lot of people that don't know because they shield them from that because white people own media. So they know what they can control, and what they control is what white people see constantly every day. It's perception.
Exactly.
And so,
but if it took you watching the news or a string of binge watching TV to realize how bad Black people have it, and she works in community outreach. That's a doctor, so she's dealing with the community every day, and you still don't see it. Right? You don't see it. That's a choice that you're making. That's a sad.
No, I think that they get to it. I mean, you gotta remember they have been always. Their emotions and everything has always been protected. So, validated. They're not exposed to, like he said, he's not, she might be a doctor, and she might see a patient come in, but think about it. How much time does a doctor really spend with their patients in a hospital setting? You'll have the nurses coming in there, give you your medicine. It's always a different person for each thing. The only time the doctor really come in there is to give you an assessment of what they discovered, for the most part.
But even again, that right there though is going off of kind of what Nate is trying to say. I think is that's still an excuse for the fact that you kind of decided to turn a blind eye.
Well, I don't think it's just a blind eye. I think you just get caught up in your process.
You have to go through quite a bit of training. You don't just you run into Black people, and there's nobody in this country that has run into no Black people.
Right.
And so it is. I think that it is. I ain't
gonna say that.
It's a subconscious choice. I don't think sometimes it's where we say, "Oh, I'm not going to look at this." It's just subconsciously, I don't have to live with this or deal with it. So I'm not going to.
But even if you spent your life in a little town with 12 people in it, we're still human beings. So how you want to be treated is how you then should treat other people.
But you got to look at the narrative that's been fed to them. When you turn on the damn news and the only people that's shooting or doing the shooting or getting shot is Black people. So if you haven't been exposed or been around Black people, you're going to automatically assume that all Black people steal and rob and shoot and kill each other.
And that's what you're going to assume because you're not around them. That's a prejudice that I had to myself understand about the people around me because I knew crackheads, so I didn't think everybody was a crackhead. It's an insensitivity because I'm going to school with young white people who have racist traits. You give them allowances because you understand that it's their parents that are making them that way and growing them and grooming them to be that way. But at some point, what you're doing is ignorant, disrespectful, and racist. So that excuse that a lot of white people say, well, I didn't have Black friends, but you are a human. In any other cause, we're still human.
But if you have been taught, if you've been taught to
also what you and Nate are arguing right now, there's a difference between racism and prejudice. Racism, bigotry, and prejudices they're very different things. They all work together.
But they're very slightly different.
And they encounter differently.
Racism is a pure hate.
Yeah, racism is a choice.
Racism is pure hate. That's just pure. It's no other way to put that's pure.
Well, under the system of racism, how many races are there? Honestly,
the whole everybody.
No, in racism there are two races. There's Black and there's white, and that's it. If you are not white, then you are black. And racism works off of that theory that you are now beneath. This was a system that was completely created to subjugate a whole group of people that are not white. Now, bigotry and prejudice, that pops up in any ethnicity. But when it comes to race, there are only two. That is why black people because black people are not in that power to hold that.
Well, I mean, if you want to say race, I mean, ain't but one race, and that's human race. If you want to be
scientific, we're talking sociologically when they speak of race.
But race was created.
And there it is. That's what it is. Race was
created. You know what I mean? Because there was, like I said, it was just a human race. So then when you had, I forget the scientist's name, when he started breaking down the genetics of supposedly black people came from monkeys and all of that shit, the narrative that was put out there was racist in itself.
Is that someone said Darwin?
Exactly. That's exactly who it was. And so he created this book to basically break down the so-called makeup of the different races and this, that, and the other. But his shit was totally distorted.
He was working
on because he wrote it to make it like the white people were superior to anybody else. Oh well, black people can't be superior to us because they got a monkey brain or they part monkey or whatever. And then you put it out there and then you took it as fact. They made it like it was fact. And then you got these people that's actually reading this shit, believing that, this is true. But that's by design too. You know what I mean? So everything that's been put into play has been put there to keep us exactly where they want us to be. But when you realize who the fuck you really are, they can't keep you in that space.
Yeah.
Like some of the arguments that we have and, talking about, black, this and the other, they ain't had no ancient black Egyptians. There wasn't no such thing as the word black. Black didn't even come into the fucking language until later on. So they couldn't have been black. What were they called? So when we really dig into the real history of who you really are, and you will realize that they can't, keep you in that space.
I want to interrupt right there real quick, because I think that we always talk about the Egyptians, and I think that is one of the bigger things of white supremacy, because they were not the only country in Africa that was popping.
No, they weren't. But I'm just using that as an example.
I'm just saying. But I just want to kind of let that know as my PSA before we move on, was that please, everyone, go look up, because I think that myself included at one time, and a lot of black revolutionaries and everything, we always talk of Egypt, and Egypt was just one of the countries that was fucking going there.
Yeah, exactly.
But moving on to something a little bit lighter, eating ass, overrated trend or just an accepted practice?
Oh my God.
Wait a minute.
We done went to black revolution eating ass?
Transition.
We
got to work on your transitions.
It's 747. We got
just bust you in the head, back of the head with a frying pan with that shit. Ping.
I'm gonna send you some pointers for transitioning.
No, we ain't got the time for it, baby. We got eating ass. Is it a trend or is it overrated?
Critical.
You said it's critical. What's up, Tula? We see you speaking in the chat.
Critical.
Tell the people.
Okay. My God. I have to get I have history and black culture on my mind, and now I gotta put this on my tongue.
Come on now, you done put enough black culture on that tongue. Come on, talk about it.
You put more than black culture on that tongue.
First of all, what goes on my tongue is my business.
It was something black on that tongue, but it wasn't the culture, honey.
But I will say,
crazy stupid.
It's not. I'm not. Hey, I just spoke my grandmother's name about it.
Transition, like I'm looking at the clock.
That ain't it, sir. That ain't
transition. You went from 0 to 100.
Yes, 1,000. Fuck 100.
But look,
not collect $200.
When you fucking with the kid, you gonna get a quick transition. We done did black people shit. Now we talking about eating ass. Miss K, you sell products. What do you recommend?
Well, for backdoor special kisses, I recommend Good Head. It comes in many, many flavors, one of which is green apple. It's delicious.
Yes,
You said
me, myself, personally, I like mine with jelly. Y'all see that shit?
Is that jelly
like
or
booty
jam?
warrior shit. Me, myself, personally, I like mine with jelly.
that is funny as shit.
Is it overrated or overlooked? Or wait, what was the question? The actual question.
Overrated trend or accepted practice? You know, as time moves on, there's certain things that are now accepted. Like before, you wouldn't get a woman that would just say like I suck dick, but now
that's
like,
true. That's
they out
true.
here head monsters out there.
But you have to say whether it's publicly accepted or not, because people have been doing that for years. People have been wanting it.
Publicly accepted. Do you eat ass in public or no?
Well, that wasn't the question. You said whether it's publicly accepted. First of all, sorry.
I mean, this motherfucker down at the harbor going in.
Right. Like that shit ain't normal.
That
ain't normal. Don't see that every day.
Some niggas go to Bubba Gump. Some niggas.
Right. It's like catching dogs fucking. No. You don't see that shit all the time, but you know what happens.
I just know it's been something that's been privately accepted for a very long time.
Sex depends on who you talk to. Like I think it depends on the demographic. Like there are some who are
will never listen to me.
Of any. Then you have those who are open to it, don't mind, they know the rules and the regulations surrounding it. And then you have those who really aren't sure and don't have anybody to explore it with. I've been in situations where you can catch a motherfucker off guard and where they thought they might have punched you in the face.
Yeah, they don't. They don't. If anything, they put them legs back further.
Well, Miss K, since you are our leading kind of sex guide here, how would you open up that conversation to someone about getting assy?
I'm a different kind of bird. Like I feel like that's a conversation. Once sex is even an issue on the table, I feel like the whole conversation should open up for communication. Like, what's good? What's not good? What are you willing to try? Like, what's a hard no and what's a maybe you can explore? You know what I mean? I feel like all of
pineapples. Pickles.
Like I know when I was like 20 and this chick went to go lick my toe, I thought that was real weird. I was like, what's going on? But now, like you get my big toe. I don't know. I guess my big toe is like a straight shot to my balls, and then it just makes everything go like. But it was real cool. But at 20, I was like, no, don't do that. Don't lick my toes. It's weird. But now I love it.
It really.
I don't say it again.
Was it really weird for you at that time, or did you think it should be considered weird? Because it's a lot of stuff. It was just kind of,
yeah. Now I do agree with what you're saying. I just it felt weird because she was licking my toes and it was just like tongue on my feet, and I kept thinking about where my feet had been, and it was freaking me out.
Yeah, I feel like when you step into the bedroom, everything should be clean enough for you to do for the exploring to happen. Now, when it comes to anal play, you know what I mean? You got to make sure that, like, you don't want to be licking nobody's ass and y'all done been out walking all that damn day and sweating and climbing rocks and shit, and then you want to come and eat ass. Like,
you get a
woman,
did you eat Taco Bell before you came over here?
Right, you know what I'm saying? Like, you smelling like roasted meat around your ass crack. Like,
Taco Bell get you did shit.
Pudding ass. you know, you don't want to end up, you try to go to that, area and there's pudding ass going on. Like,
and Karen, cilantro and taco meat.
Yeah. That shit smell like potted meat back that bitch mixed with shit residue. Like, nah.
Well, as we talk about cleanliness and sex and everything, there was an interesting conversation that came up. How you like this transition? Is this better for you?
Yes.
Look, I had to get off that deep ass shit. But here's a good one. How often do y'all wash y'all sheets? They have found out that the majority of Americans wash their sheets once a year.
That's some nasty motherfucker that wash their sheets once a fucking year.
This is why I don't believe in polls, because you went to some nasty bitches and cooked that poll. You went to
wash their legs sour.
I was about to say thank you, Karen. There were a lot of people who say they don't wash their legs. There are some people who.
How you not wash your fucking legs?
There's people out there.
I'm really not sure.
First of all, if you're washing in the shower, that ass juice that you washing off is gonna run down your fucking legs. So you need to wash that shit from top to bottom. And make sure ain't no residue left on your ass.
In that order.
I'm a girl who is proud to tell people that she does not shower daily.
Who said it?
A girl who I work with. She will tell anybody it's not my shower day. So
okay, now you may not shower daily, but you better be putting some water on your important parts. Like I say, the sign of the cross. You wash your face, your armpits, and your fucking crotch and your ass. Now, if that should be getting water at least every day.
Yeah.
So even if you don't take a shower, you skip a shower, you better be washing the main fucking parts if you ain't taking a shower every day. Because if you don't, you fucking crunchy. And you
Brianna said that she is not licking toes ever.
I would lick a toe, but I'm not a fan. I've had my toes sucked, and it's not my favorite.
But if you have nice feet, you don't mind it. But
I mean, I got nice feet, but
I've seen some of these.
I had a stranger suck my fucking feet in a bar. That wasn't it. It wasn't welcome. But motherfucker spilled some goddamn. He spilled a drink on my foot, and the motherfucker sucked the shit off.
Oh.
Yeah, that was quite interesting.
I think that was a nice apology though. That was a nice apology.
Yeah, but I'm not a fan of my fucking toe. I don't like my feet to be wet. Like if I ain't washing them motherfuckers, if I ain't washing them or in a pool or the tub or some shit, I don't want my fucking feet just wet just because. Like that's nasty.
Brianna said that she stopped kissing her children's feet once they started walking in shoes.
Well, Brianna, Brianna had a bad toe incident, so she.
He probably done pulled back some toe jam and shit.
Right. He must have took that sock off and that cloth
and got one of them sock crumbs. One of them sock.
I'll leave my sister alone.
Sorry about that, Brianna. We'd all had a bad.
But I mean, shit. It's preparation that go into that type of shit. Eat ass, all of that. I don't, me personally, I've had it done to me, but it's not one of my favorite things. You know what I mean? Like, okay.
Have you licked the split before?
Yes, I have. Shit. That'd be a fucking lie. I mean, shit, when I'd have been in long-term relationships, you got to bring out all the motherfucking, you know what I'm saying? I'd have been with motherfuckers for 11 years.
Ass eating day.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't saying like I just aim to eat your ass. I'm just saying if we on some freaky shit that particular day, you know what I'm saying? Hey, you might, you know what I'm saying? Motherfucking tongue might slip. I mean, shit, like you can't eat pussy without eating a little bit of ass. You know what I'm saying? If you're doing it right.
I think I've learned too much.
Wiping from the back to the front. Don't wipe to the back to the front because that's the way.
Tula said her mother would come back from the grave and fuck her up. Now, I don't know if that's about the dirty sheets or if it's about eating dirty ass, but her mother.
Either way, it's a bad situation. If you ain't changed your sheet in a year, that's some nasty shit. Because my thing is, so if you mean to tell me you ain't fucked in a year, or you washed your ass every time you got in the fucking bed, because your sheets is nasty.
Them sheets is a petri dish of shit.
They crunchy. They crunchy. You go in there with a goddamn blue light, it's gonna be some shit on them sheets. It's gonna look like abstract art on that motherfucker.
Oh my God.
Brianna says, I just don't like feet. Feet is her.
It's hard to come across men that got nice feet because I done seen some fucked up feet. Not feet. Feet.
I ain't gonna lie. I got some nice feet. I keep my feet up.
Yeah, you got them little baby toes and shit. Like he's got the little little piggy went to the market.
Well, and I have that habit because my mother used to take me when she would get her pedicure. She would get me one, so that's what got me into the cycle from a variety.
So you bougie.
I mean, it was just. I mean, your parents developed the habits in you. So I would go and get a pedicure, like, cause she always took me. So
I do that shit at home.
So you got them supple ass feet. This feet supple.
He said he got them newborn feet.
Them newborn feet.
It's still
you have to
fucking
take care
can't
of
walk
your feet.
barefoot. He might fucking die. Them fucking feet too soft. You better hope we ain't got to do no hiking or no shit, cause you're gonna be ass out. Your feet gonna be.
Oh, Brianna says
you
she
make them feet
washes
too
her
soft,
sheets
your
at
feet will
least
be
once
fucked up.
weekly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with you, Bree.
What'd she say?
She said she washes her sheets once weekly.
Yes.
And Tula said that that was about washing sheets. Her mother don't care if she eat ass. As long as she clean them.
But you better have them damn sheets clean.
Shout out to mom, goddamn it.
Raise
All
up
right, y'all. Moving on
out in the way they should go
to another topic. You ready for this one?
I don't think I am, because you just bang.
We don't know what we about to get hit with.
Right.
He about to ask us about how to end world hunger and shit.
Right.
After we've been talking about eating ass. What would you do to save the planet? Nigga, get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. The fuck, we just finished fucking building pyramids and all types of shit, and here you come talking about world hunger and shit. Fuck out of here.
I guess if you eat ass, then you won't be hungry.
You right. Well, I hope you will be hungry, because if you're getting full off of that shit, there's some shit coming out of there that
They put up the brick.
Right. You eating booty frosties and shit. Like, nah.
All right. So last week, I know y'all were talking a lot about online dating. I kind of came in. I was a little tipsy. We're talking about my experience with online dating.
Mm-hmm.
This past week, there have been a lot of stories. Bleu put a story in the group chat about somebody on, how do you say it now?
How did you spell it?
Grindr. Grindr. Okay, somebody on Grindr. He's 17 years old. He killed 2 people or 3 people. There was also somebody on Plenty of Fish who was luring women to his apartment, and he was murdering them, chopping them up, and then he would eat them. There was a man that was in Indiana who was bringing in men from a site, and he ate this guy's nuts, and the guy was able to eventually get free. He did die because he bled out, but I mean, there seems to be a lot of this shit going on these dating apps where you have some really psychotic people doing some shit.
First of all, I don't agree with no fucking dating apps anyway, because you can tell me that you any goddamn body. Like on the internet, you can be whoever you want to be. If I want to log on and make me an account, I can go on as a blonde white guy. You know what I mean? And nobody would know the fucking difference unless they just happen to come across this picture and say, oh, this is somebody I know, or, you know, I saw this in an ad or whatever. Like, you wouldn't fucking know. So,
but because of Corona, the dating apps have seen record numbers.
I don't want to date nobody that bad.
A lot of stuff, but I think that it also speaks to the fact that people are lonely. And so
get the fuck out and like,
no, but I'm not talking about that type of lonely. I'm talking about that deeper level lonely, and people do dumb shit when they lonely.
Like
you will.
Oh yeah.
You will. I mean, even before dating apps, you would fuck the wrong person just because you was lonely.
Yeah, the rule is if somebody calls you at 12, it's a booty call. If they call you after 2, you're their last resort. So I just think,
damn, motherfuckers making calls that late.
You should have just jerked off and gone to sleep. Shit.
At that point, you know what I'm saying? You're pretty fucking desperate. You calling somebody at 2:00 in the morning to what you doing?
But it's just, I think like apps breed psychotic behavior. And I like especially the one that you named, Plenty of Fish. I know plenty of specifically my female friends that have joined Plenty of Fish and have gotten crazies. I'm not saying they don't exist on other ones, but that one in particular. And
I agree with you. It seems like Plenty of Fish is a dead mission.
Yeah.
I met my on an app. We've been together for 3 years. I met my guy on Plenty of Fish. Oh shit, my pot's still on. I met him on Plenty of Fish.
You want to know what's cooking now? Because I swear, I've been seeing all type of magic go in that pot.
Right.
Yeah, I'm cooking my damn self.
Applesauce. I'm done.
I'm over here cooking.
Yeah.
Coming over.
For 3 years, and I met him on the day that I decided that I had had enough because of the type of individuals that I was meeting on. Right, and I wasn't meeting them face to face because of the safety issue. I felt like meeting people online, it was a last resort for me because like out here in the street, dudes my age were disrespectful. Dudes in the church were whores.
Yeah. The same as the guys on the street.
My experience, church dudes is whole whores. And I just wanted to have to deal with what I was getting in the street. Hey, shorty, what's your name? Da da da. Oh my God, you fat as fuck. Let me take you out to get something to eat. Let me make you something to eat. You be my something to eat. Like it's too much.
They're gonna Alfredo and crab leg you to death.
That's sexy. That's a sexy meal.
I would talk to the guys through the app for a long time. Nobody had my home phone number. Yeah, and the guy who I'm with, like we talked through the app for a while. Once I felt like I had a good handle on who he was, because I'm Secret Squirrel, Super Spy Private Eye. I'm gonna look your ass up.
Maryland case search.
Right.
You don't know? Should I know people that
but
work
that's
in
if they're giving you their real name. You know, a lot of people out here, they gotta. That's why I don't play the nickname game. What did your mama name you?
Right. The guy who lied to me about his name. Like I found who he was, but I found out who he was through Facebook.
Was he married?
I want to say he was recently divorced, but anyway, you know, like I said, I did my due diligence, and when I found out and confronted him, he got an attitude. I've had a dude demand my time. Like it's all kinds of stuff on it. It doesn't matter what you put in your profile. If you put a serious profile up, you're not in pictures showing your drawers. Like these dudes are crazy out here.
Well, it's because most people look at those apps as sex sites, and when I've done them, that's the one thing that I've always had to cut people off with. Like, this isn't sex for me. Like it's not. So you have to be very direct and stick your guns. And if they don't like it, that's not the person for you. And some people try to, you know, because of their loneliness, they try to play into, you know, what they think people want. Because you will find the same people that are ignorant on the street. They're the same people that are going to log on to these apps and use them. So it's a gamble. You know, people are just as crazy in person as they are in line. At least you have the anonymity and the space between you. But
I'll say this: don't laugh, because on Christian Meets, I did put on there just straight off, I'm looking for a nut, because I heard that you can find more freaks on there. And my God, that was an understatement. On Christian Mingle, whatever it was.
Christian Mingle. Christians get horny too.
Was popping off. And all you had to do is like put in, I'm looking right now. And then you get a whole bunch of come dick you down.
It's the directness, and that's sometimes what you have to often look for, the honesty. Like you got to look for people who are being that direct, because they're telling you who they are. It's the ones that are just playing the game with you that you may get caught up in, and you like, damn, like this, like what? You crazy as fuck. And I've had plenty on that, and I've heard some good things about Plenty of Fish, but the things that I've heard about it, other stuff, like it's just. People, they prey on people on there. Like they know you in the house by yourself, or because you're telling them all your information, and they can tell that if you on here at midnight, then you looking for something, like you're missing something. So they try to be those things and get it.
Brianna said she looked her husband up on Case Search. And she said church shores, yes, they have no gender.
Well, but I feel like it's foolish for you to go and meet an absolute and total stranger at their place, at their apartment.
It's a setup. You said if I'm gonna do some shit like that, you know, it's like you gotta think like, okay, most likely if you're gonna meet up with somebody that's strange, you want to meet up with them somewhere that's public. So in case this mother is crazy, you can get out of there or make a scene or whatever. Why would you take yourself to somebody's house you've never fucking met and then you get there, and then they got a whole damn.
Like, what did you expect? What did you expect for them to want if you come into their house, even in the middle of the day? Like I used to have a spot where I would meet dates, and it was Mount Vernon Stable. When you're in the basement, a little alcove area. That's where. So if you see somebody back there, that's what they probably on a social media. But that's where I used to meet people because it was public and I felt safe and comfortable. But it's still like it's weird. I've always been a little nervous, a lot nervous meeting people. I'm nervous meeting people that I meet on the street. They be just as crazy.
Yeah, but I mean, at least when you meet them in person, you can feel people's energy and feel like, okay, something ain't right with this person before you even go into having this whole dialect with them and talking and all that shit. So it's like if you meet them on the street and you getting the signs or the feeling off the break not to mess with this person, you have that option to say, okay, this person ain't for me, and walk away.
Right.
Online, you can sit there and talk to them. They can tell you all the stuff you want to hear, and then you finally meet them in person and they fucking psychotic.
Fucking Eddie Munster and shit.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah.
I've been in a relationship now for 3 years, and I met her on Tinder. And what's funny is that I joined Tinder as a joke, and I ended up being cool. But speaking of Brianna, it was her husband who convinced me to go out on a date with her because I was like, I ain't going out with no motherfucking crazy person on Tinder. I'm tired of this dating app shit. And I waited 3 years later, here I am. But all women in Baltimore look up any dude they're trying to date on case search.
I mean, I think try to find them on social media, and in today's world, it's only a small group of people who don't have social media, who are not psychotic, who just that's not their thing. But most people now at least have a Facebook or Instagram or something, and if they don't, I'm normally leery of that because what you hiding? Like what are you hiding? What you
I'm
trying?
Leery of people who got Facebook pages with no picture.
Yeah, normally they're senior citizens.
Fuck you on Facebook, you ain't got no picture.
That's normally your grandmother or your auntie at first. But if they keep a no profile up there, or they got like a weird spelling to their name, then you gotta, nigga, you married.
Married,
old married ass nigga.
Like I had this dude talking about he was the ambassador of Dubai, some crazy shit. He said he was a prince in Dubai. I guess he said that shit like I was gonna be like, oh my God, it's a real prince, and this and the other. And then when I didn't feed into the shit, he never contacted me again. I was like,
he was getting ready to try to get your whole bank account.
Yeah, the fuck out of here.
Right. he was like, that has increased on social media. Like you'll find a person that wants to be a sugar daddy that be like, well, just give me your bank information and
I'll send the money over. No, fuck no.
I'll send you money. I'll put you on my my car sheet. Like
trickery and
yeah.
First of all, like I blame, and I know you got some desperate people out here, but I kind of blame people like the show Catfish. Like you see the signs before it gets to the point of
yes.
So my thing is, you got to be a pretty desperate, low self-esteem having ass person for you to accept.
People will accept a lot because they are lonely,
or naive.
Lonely people,
lonely and naive together, and throw in a little bit of gullible.
That's why it's very important. I say this to a lot of the parents that I have when I see those traits in children. Like it's very important that you instill your children with common sense, so they do question stuff when it doesn't sound accurate. Because a lot of our children online are falling for these. It's an article I just read on my show with Wayne Brady. His daughter was being kind of wooed in by a gentleman, an older gentleman.
Yeah. And was he posing as a younger person?
It wasn't. Well, Wayne Brady knew he was older from as soon as he got wind of the conversation. So, I mean, some of them aren't even posing anymore. They just don't.
Oh, man.
Well, see, that's like Chris Hansen and shit. With them goddamn people trying to go see them kids and shit. Talking about, oh, my parents won't be home.
Yeah.
And they look plumb dumb. I ain't say that shit. Them motherfuckers looking plumb dumb when Chris Chris
And
Hansen
they
coming
knew
in
they
there.
were going to go see a child.
Oh
Like that,
man, don't let that motherfucker be at the door.
Man.
Wait a minute. So speaking of child molesters, y'all, did any of you see Borat?
Now that transition didn't throw y'all off.
What?
But that was still an easing. That was still a little, not, you
We
know,
was on the topic a
power.
little bit.
You eat ass. Like, okay, sorry.
No, but did anybody see the new Borat?
No,
I haven't seen the trailer.
I've heard about it with Giuliani.
Yeah, well, Rudy Giuliani put himself out there to be a victim of Chris Hansen's setup game.
Was he a victim or was he a predator who got caught?
A little bit of both.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Borat, of course, is doing the movie. Rudy Giuliani thinks that this young lady playing a 15-year-old girl is supposed to be a journalist. She walks him into a bedroom. She starts taking off his clothes, and he's very complicit. Like, he lays back and all of that. And it's my understanding that the scene was edited, but the length that it got to was like, yo, you should be arrested. In real life, you just showed yourself to be a whole fucking child molester. A whole child molester.
Wait a
like,
minute, so he got a actual person that didn't know what was happening to do this?
No, it was
Rudy
part
Giuliani.
of his part of his movies is he sets up these fake scenarios with real people, and you become
ever
a
seen
part
Bad
of
Grandpa?
the movie.
Yeah.
Okay, so think of it as Bad Grandpa, but like on an international level.
Right.
And Rudy Giuliani happened to be the stooge in this one, and he fell for it. And I think that, you know, had they not edited, we'd have seen some really
his team is claiming that he was trying to get the mic out of him, and then after the mic, right? That's what he's claiming. He was just trying to get his mic off, and he leaned back.
He was trying to get his mic off. All right. Yeah, he let that little girl unbutton his pants. He let her go down and pull up the mic pack. He like lays back and all that. When he go see Barbara Walters, he ain't letting Barbara Walters lay him back like that.
I mean,
I'm just shocked that nothing has happened to Borat after all these movies he's done like this. Like I'm just very shocked that nothing. And he's a lawyer, so you don't sue him, but
I mean, at the same time, I mean, they can say that it's you know, that these are unsuspecting people.
They are, because
they don't necessarily have to be. You know what I'm saying?
Like, not entrapment. Like, if you see it, you'll understand what I'm talking about.
So I didn't know that it was out already though. So the movie's out.
It's on Prime, isn't it?
Yeah, it's on Prime. It's not that long. It's textbook Borat.
Yeah, but this is not his first movie like this. I think this is number 3, or I think.
Yeah, well, he's done all of his characters basically look to expose, you know, certain norms, so to speak. And I think his speech that he did recently really helped for people who didn't understand what he was doing. He really went into the fact that there's a lot of shit that has been normalized that just needs to be uncovered.
Right. I think this film that just came out is more deliberate than the other ones were. He was
I believe so as well. Yeah.
Like I think he set out to actually uncover some of the, like you said, the social norms that we have in this country and trying to break them apart. But it was
more geared toward Republicans, though. I will say that.
Yeah. But in his interviews, I think this was purposely done like this time. And I wanted him to get. Why couldn't he get Trump? Like, I just need him to get Trump or all his children, like somebody.
He did.
Because some Democrats.
He did go to a Trump rally. You gotta watch the movie. I'm not gonna give it away. Watch it.
I'm gonna have to watch it. It's on Prime. I'm gonna watch it tonight. But yeah. Any more questions?
Oh, cool. That's cool. You say who's next?
We talked about ass and history and toe sucking.
Ass licking.
So we keep it all together here at the Kocktail Social.
I said, if you had to pick an animal to fuck, which one would it be?
Negative.
That would have been Blue's question. If you had
I was about to say that's
if you had to fuck an animal, what animal would it be?
Negative.
Definitely a Blue question. That's gonna be on next week.
Coming next week.
So right now, I guess the biggest thing in the Black news coming off of the whole Ice Cube and Lil Wayne debacle is the fact that there is a couple who was denied entry. Dude, shake your head again, because that's how I feel about it. But there was a couple in Buckhead's area of Atlanta that was denied entry into an uni sushi restaurant. He had on some all-white Air Force Ones, and they wouldn't let him in because of that. But through the video that his attorney wife was taking, there was a white woman who was at the bar who was in some tennis shoes. And so they were asking repeatedly why. One of the things that one of the Asian workers said was that, we're all minorities, calm down. While the Iranian owner of the restaurant, which all of this is hilarious. You got this Iranian guy
like a black man, white man, Chinese man joke.
Right. The Iranian guy he is literally like they're about to fight out front because he says that he shouldn't be in there because he has on white tennis shoes.
What's the name of the restaurant that was here? I can't remember the name of it.
Uzo Bay and Harbor East, where they wouldn't let the little boy in.
Yeah.
Because he had on. Now maybe they all have something against Nike because this little boy had on Nike, a whole Nike little outfit, and the little white boy had on Adidas, just like the little white girl had on Adidas tennis shoes. I don't know. Right. But if you are a black male in Baltimore City, then I know that every one of us is aware of the places that we have not been able to get in. Yeah. Power Plant Live, the first time I got into Power Plant Live was because I went with my biracial homegirl who they thought was white. I could not get into several clubs that we've been in front of. And they like, nope, you can't come in. Yep. And I'm like, and it's always a different reason. One time I had on a fucking polo, some khakis, and some damn near dress shoes.
Yeah.
And they said that the shoes were not safe, so they couldn't let me in.
Mm-hmm. That is something that is
not safe. They got knives in the sole or some shit. Like the fuck.
He might slip and bust his head open or something. Or
he had on some Earls.
No, they weren't Earls though. They weren't Earls.
The floor start getting moist when the humidity go up in that bitch. It start getting moist.
But that I've had that experience in some Fells Point, in the Fells Point area as well, and Federal Hill. So it does
most definitely Fells Point.
Mm-hmm. Oh yes.
Yep. I mean that just happened with the whole the bike boys, the dirt bike boys. Now we've all been in Fells Point and seen like the motorcycle, the white guys with the group of them. But soon as the dirt bike boys went down there, it became like a mass news article.
Our customers aren't safe.
Right. And I was like, I know I've been down there several times when all these white men come down there in their motorcycle groups. So what is the difference? Because these are little young black boys, and it really...
But that's what the difference is.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, and this is a point that I wanted to make earlier. Like, as much as they try to make us seem inferior, they how can I put it? Like, they think that we are superhuman at the same damn time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, because
it's like it's a.
Well, they think we're animals. They think we're animals.
Well, you gotta look at our genetic makeup. Our genetic makeup, we are naturally stronger, faster beings.
Mm-hmm.
So if you already fearful because it's like, okay, genetically you're inferior. I mean, I hate to put it like that, but it's like genetically.
I don't even want to go in on that genetically inferior thing too much because the fact is that they'll shoot you and think you won't die, but we will take a bullet and we will die just like.
I mean, I'm just saying
that's what I'm talking
genetically
about.
We're stronger, faster, this and the other. So if you know that it's like going up against a fucking bear. You know a fucking bear is stronger and faster and strong, than you are. So you're automatically gonna fear that you feel like you're.
But it's so
Karen, go ahead and say your thought. Hold on, Karen was trying to get a thought out for a minute.
No, I was just saying, like, I just think it's bullshit. Like that whole thing, like we're bigger, stronger, faster, is the reason why we don't get treated in hospitals the way that other people.
Well, they don't
get treated.
think
like
they feel like
they actually believe that our skin is thicker. They actually believe that our threshold for pain is higher.
Yeah.
And so whether we are genetically superior or not, they try to they succeeded in making us think that we are inferior, but at the same time, they almost deify us in how they look at us.
And you know,
I just think it's a crazy
in the whole
contradiction.
medical world thing, because I don't. It was only been recently since I've gone to the emergency room or was ever checked into a hospital. And I just remember going to the dentist last week and I was in pain because of the procedures that I'm having. And I told them like how much pain I was in. And she totally dismissed what I was saying. And I was like, I can't keep taking a leave like
because
that.
now they think that you are drug
seeking. Mm-hmm.
Because you got to remember the narrative that's been fed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all we want is drugs and fight and shoot and kill and steal and this, that, and the other. So, so it all feeds into that.
You know, I don't even think it's on that. And I think that they only care now about giving out drugs because white people been overdosing left and right. Because
I was about to say, because the reality of it, if you look at it, yeah, their reality is on our city streets. Like now, the whole homeless in the middle of the street, all of them are white. Why? Because they came out from the suburbs to find Baltimore's finest heroin, and now they stuck.
Yeah, they lost their way.
Now they stuck.
But now that is a problem that everyone wants to work together to fix.
Well, because when they dumped heroin into the black neighborhoods or the so-called black neighborhoods, when they dumped it in those neighborhoods, the intent was for us to be strung out and this, that, and the other. When it started hitting their doorstep, now all of a sudden it's you know, we got to do something about it. We can't, you know, now they were sending out people to jail for being a drug addict. Instead of getting them mental help or whatever the hell, or sending them to a rehab center or whatever. But now that it's hit their doorstep, now they want to look at it, well, let's decriminalize, you know, if they are on drugs, then, you know, we should set it up where they go to rehab centers and stuff like that. Because the shit didn't hit their doorstep.
Hence why, like, I'm in Charles Village.
They're not going to do shit about it.
Yeah.
But if
I'm about to say, you in Charles Village, you seeing it left and right.
Yeah, it's nothing but treatment centers around here. And you're starting to see, as y'all saying, you're starting to see more white people in these areas. Like, for me to be at Penn North and see a handful of white people, I'm like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah, it's like seeing a fucking unicorn.
Right, but it's
why they there.
Yeah, but I mean, at one time I didn't know what an addict looked like. Like a typical addict, one that is functional. But just seeing these people pop up in our areas like that, it just was off to me. But yeah, I'm definitely seeing it in this area because they just.
I want to live up to my name and be like, hello, I think there's a drug deal going on.
Karen.
Pennsylvania Avenue, and there's a white woman. Like, I feel like I want to be that petty.
right in the car, just from the car.
Like she keeps circling the block.
Right.
She looks like she's under the influence of some type of drug. I just really want to get her help. You send out someone, I feel threatened. I feel threatened. I don't feel safe.
I fear for my life.
But you can't tell them what race she is because then they're not.
She's looking at me. She's looking at me right now. Oh my God, she's looking at me. Oh, please send someone immediately. Oh my God, she's attacking me now. She's taking pictures. Oh.
All right, y'all. Well, we are coming towards the end of our time, but before we move on, we have a very important week coming up. You know, this whole election process, and you know, for me, no matter what happens, it is my goal to make sure that all of my people are good. Yes. It is my sincere hope that it does go in the way that it needs to. One of my favorite memes is that an election, this is not a Valentine's. You're not giving it to the person that you love. You're giving it to the person that you can actually get some work done with.
Right.
So while I will say for everyone to go out and vote your choice, my choice is very clearly Biden Harris. That is who I am voting for.
Seems to be dressed up.
I do recommend that everybody else go out and do vote your choice and do what is good for you. Do what's going to work for you. That's what works for fucking me.
Just get out and vote. Just vote, please.
Do it.
And then please,
I don't know how I feel about either.
Not just your presidential election, but your local elections.
Yes.
The local Senate, is more important.
All of that is happening right now. And this is one of those historical moments that we all have read about in history. No matter how you feel about history, you know this is shit that has happened. And we are cycling through this shit again. And this is when we have to say who we are. You know, I am a Black American, so I have to look out for what the fuck happens in America because it will directly affect me. I cannot just sit out. So
yeah.
But you know, again,
stop letting these people who vote in, who want to get your vote suppressed, or people who are voting for their pockets instead of their communities. Don't let them deter you or distract you from doing what you are civically responsible for doing.
Yeah.
Don't be deterred by rappers who haven't been poor since the 80s.
Oh God. Talk about it.
Well,
or that you are keeping rich.
That's
You're
about
literally
watching
keeping rich.
Buying music.
So they are going to follow behind Trump because that is who they want, because he's all about keeping the rich rich. He don't give a fuck about them. He gives a fuck about their money though. But you're going to listen to these cats who literally have not been poor since Reagan was in office.
Yep.
To tell you what to do. You're not their best. Before they was getting rich that way, they were selling your mama drugs. So get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. They don't give a shit about your community. Every time you turn around, you see the same motherfuckers are the ones that fucking they beating up their wives and shit. Or they talk about generational wealth, but they don't want to pass any of the money down to their children to help them get a fucking leg up. Fuck these niggas. You need to move on from them, and everybody that's 50 years old still listen to them, grow the fuck up.
Yeah.
That's my PSA.
Bye, Ice Cube.
But he's not the only one.
He's not
the only one, especially considering this platinum plan. The Congressional Black Caucus had a plan that was literally similar to this, but better, that was created by a group of Black women. And it would have been amazing for him to partner with them.
Right.
You get that put across.
All I can say
people
about
that been
that
doing the
whole
work
situation is do some more research, because it's a lot of shit that it's reasons why you know, a lot of the shit that we request don't get answered. And so it's like we looking at it on a black and white scale type thing, but it's deeper than that. I'm not
and to those who are interested, y'all, I'm sorry to interrupt because we gotta go. There's gonna be live election coverage on Talk Lately. That's another show here on BeExposedRadio.com. It's coming this Tuesday at 7 p.m. Don't miss it.
So definitely please join Be Exposed Radio to follow all this election. From Nate Kaiser, Mizell, and Miss K, as well as Cable. I am Jonathan Gilmore. We are all still representing our Miss Kitty Couture Blues and Fiend Shaker. And this is Be Exposed Radio with the Kocktail Social. Thank y'all so much for having us and joining us.
Eat more booty.
Bye. So guess what? I just finished Lovecraft Country.
I was just finished it too.
I just finished it. It was amazing.
What you think? Wasn't it great?
I loved it.
I can't wait till